What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Fresh Podcast, where we bring everything fresh in entertainment. My name is Drew Brumfield, and join with me again is Randy. Randy, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing great. Glad to talk about this dope-ass band.
Yes, and another dope-ass thing that is happening is we have our special guest here joining us again, Will King. Will, how are you doing?
Not too bad today. About yourself, man?
I am doing great because, as Randy mentioned, we are talking about this dope band, and that dope band is called Sleep Token. A bit of a, I'd argue, underrated band. They're not as widely known as most. In fact, the only reason that I know about, and I'm pretty sure the only reason Will knows about, is because Randy brought them up. And this whole podcast, this episode is really Randy's, because this was definitely his idea, and he's like, I really want to talk about it, and I've said I want to do more music episodes, so here we are.
And I'm like, well, here you go.
Yeah,
and then I
about
brought Will along with it because Will's been kind of hyper fixated on Sleep Token for the past 2 months.
It's been like the last week.
Yeah,
that's when I really just
Well, I mean,
I've been listening to them for a little bit, but
with me being around and just being like, oh yeah, I'm listening to Sleep Token, blah 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 blah, I'm riding in the car somewhere.
Yeah.
And then, this last week, 2 weeks, he's deep dove into it.
Yeah, I think it was 3 days ago. I have chronic insomnia, so it was 3 or 4 in the morning, and I was like, well, I might as well just burn through their entire discography, see what's going on.
There you go,
as one does.
Yeah.
Makes sense. But before we get into specifics with it, I do want to give a shameless plug for myself. If no one's going to sponsor us, I'm going to sponsor myself. So go ahead and check out our YouTube page and our TikTok. We've been posting shorts and other short form content on there. Most recently, our good friend Robert has posted a Is It Still Fresh about Resident Evil 4. And for those who don't know, Is It Still Fresh is a quick little short video thing where we look at an older game, see if it's still fresh or if it's kind of rotten over a little bit. You get the puns, you get the jokes. But definitely check that out. That's on YouTube and our TikTok. So yeah, and it's a great video. Robert did a great job. It was his first one for our channel, so really proud of that. Anyway, moving forward with Sleep Token, and I kind of want to start off with something that kind of just hit me when you guys were talking real quick. Of this album is almost like when Randy first pitched it to me and gave it to me, I didn't dislike it, but I didn't think that much. It was all right, whatever, we'll do the podcast and I'll go through it and let them talk. But I think recently after listening to it, and I think there's a difference between listening to it when it's I'm in the car driving, or when I'm at work and I just need background noise. It's fine for that. But today and yesterday, I actually sat down and be okay, no, I'm actually going to pay attention to the song and actually pay attention to the music. And I appreciate the album as a whole much more after doing that. And then from the sound of it, it sounds like Will kind of had a similar thing where you kind of liked it, and then after stopping and listening to them as a whole, you seem to appreciate the band more instead of just having it as background music. Does that make sense? Am I kind of in the ballpark, Will? Or
yeah, and I think that a lot of people don't just sit down to actually have a dedicated listening session for some music. But yeah, from the start to the end of the album, just no interruptions. If you can find a little quiet time just to consume it, I think that would be a good thing. It definitely led to a deeper appreciation for their sound and their message. So that's how I would say. And just we're talking about their most recent album, Take Me Back to Eden.
I was about to say, we didn't mention
third
that.
studio album. But that's the mindset that I would go into listening to it. Is it definitely, there are a lot of songs that you can pop up in the car and just kind of bounce around and enjoy your commute to or from work. But definitely just sitting down listening to it's also a very good thing to do.
Yeah, exactly. So Randy, for you, before we'll go by this song by song, but I do have a look.
I was thinking we do a little bit of history and stuff like that. I know Will took some notes.
That's why. That's what I was transitioning into.
Oh, cool.
Thanks,
Randy. Come on now.
No, okay. You know what? Never mind. All right. Just go. Just talk about the history.
Now. Hey, Will. I saw you took some notes earlier today about some of the history of Sleep Token, who they are, kind of the genre. Would you mind telling us a bit more about them?
Yeah, yes, absolutely ready. Thank you so much for asking. So Sleep Token is a UK band whose identity is anonymous. They did an interview with Louder, the frontman who calls himself Vessel, said that their purpose is to encourage the worship of an ancient god called Sleep. They dress up and have some dope silk-looking outfits. Some unhinged fans take that a little too seriously. But I'm pretty sure it's just a gimmick to make for, interesting live performances, and it definitely has assisted them in fostering a cult following, because, I mean, their subreddit's popping. Now, as far as that genre goes, that one's a little eclectic. I think I saw something that describes them as an alternative indie gospel pop metal. So they're kind of into a little bit of everything as far as their actual music goes.
Those are 4 different types of music in that one description.
Yeah, they're very
with hyphens in between every single one of them. It's definitely interesting.
They're definitely one of the things that I'm really into them about is their ability to blend genres that you would be like, what?
Yeah.
These don't go together, and their ability to kind of blend some funk with metal, some pop and R&B elements, I think gives them a very unique sound. And they're not the only band that does this, but I think they do it in such a way that's very accessible for people, and thus, if it's accessible, generally helps with popularity. So.
Yeah, and their audio engineering, just as far as the quality of their music goes, that is top notch. So, I was listening to it last night, and it occurred to me that into the intros of one of their songs, it reminded me of Alabama Shakes, which is an R&B band. Which I'm just to mash genres like that, and then to start with some Alabama Shakes style music, and then just bust into metal in the middle of the song. I'm like, okay, all right, this is where we're going.
They're it's one of the few times where I've and when I really pay attention to them, I was like, dang, they switch up styles mid-song a lot. It's one of those things where it's almost you don't notice it until you really think about it. Yeah, no, they're changing it up a lot and varying their style almost every song. And I remember at one point I was like, which song was it? I had notes and I wrote it down, but I almost there was one song where is that Rastafari? Is that freaking it sounds almost bongos.
No, exactly. Yes, I don't remember the song. You know exactly what one you're talking about. It went to reggae in the middle of it. I was like, what is happening?
And I was like, what the hell? We feeling all right, but okay, I'm down. I'm vibing a little bit of reggae. Okay.
Yeah, where Randy introduced me to it was with their song "The Summoning," which they had released as a single before they released the album, and I was like, honestly, so I was kind of like, oh my god, guys, pick a lane, but it definitely has led to a more of an appreciation for the clash that you hear in their style, because it's kind of just like a rhapsody of a bunch of different types of music. Which, I don't think a lot of artists do right now. They kind of, find something to stick to and stick to it.
No.
So I appreciate that
it's a hard thing to do and a hard thing to get right. And it's definitely hard when you're especially as you mentioned to the audio engineers of just okay, I got the melody, we got the bass line. Hey, by the way, halfway through the song, we're gonna change it. And you're like, I just imagine the audio engineers are just F you, man. Just I gotta put bongos in this song now.
They're kind of dodging lasers, because if it were not properly executed, I'd be like, okay, this is just a flop. But they're I'd say they're pretty good.
Yeah, their mixing and their production, and in regards to how they build to these shifts that happen in the songs, I think is really well done. I know we're kind of throwing out that there's this sudden shift, which if you break it, maybe not break it down, but in The Summoning, which is their most popular song, it's the song that blew them up from 300,000 monthly listeners to 2 million. There's a breakdown to where it's general rock guitars and whatnot, and then you get this, it kind of not swells, but like compresses down and gets a bit quieter, and then you have these few little breaks, and then it starts to become funk. So it's not just like, like wow, 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 and then funk suddenly. There is a transition in there, and I think they're done well.
Yeah, I think the best quote that I found on their subreddit is from a Reddit user named Arielize. And this is, "Take Me Back to Eden is a truly innovative and genre-bending outing. The effortless pop, R&B, and progressive metal blend is unbelievable at times. Huge melodies, earworms for days, insane drumming, fantastic production, and can turn heavy as a truck on a dime."
Yeah. Well, I think that is enough general thoughts, unless you guys want to make any additional points before we go into talk about going this song by song and reviewing this whole album.
Yeah, I'm down.
All right.
So let's get into it.
All right. Well, we will get into it with the technical. Well, the Summoning, yes, is probably like the most popular song. The actual first song in the album is Chokehold. And Chokehold kind of has it's very synthetic. It has a lot of unique tones. But as you mentioned earlier, it switches up. And at one point, I wrote in my notes, like, it gives very Doom Eternal vibes, which is a really good
it has
thing.
those jet guitars.
Yeah.
Just wow, wow, wow.
I'm just waiting for it. Just like, all right, where is like the background chainsaw that's in the Doom music? Like, where is this? And yeah, it does a really good job of going like mixing the pacing up. Like, and you're gonna hear me say that a lot. Is like the pacing in the album is great. It does a good job of like going from slower to faster to slower to faster, but it never feels jarring, in any way. So yeah, I'll throw it to Will first. Will, what are your thoughts on Chokehold?
So, I mean, I'm really interested in like the imagery and the kind of, I guess for lack of a better word, the poetry that they bring to it. It's got a lot of, what's it called? So I'm looking at the lyrics here. It's talking about like how these two people are intertwined. And when it goes through and gets to obviously the chorus and then the verse 2, they got to break down. Hold on, dude, I'm blanking. You might have to edit this.
You're good. Randy, how about I start with you when we get to this? What are your thoughts on Chokehold?
Yeah. So it starts off a bit quieter, just with nice guitar building. And then as you get into the after that opening, you got me in a chokehold, and you then break into these, as I was saying, these big, like, I remember I heard someone describe it almost like a parody on the genre of metal, of these just like wow, 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 like guitars through it. But at the same time, you have these this like group, or I guess chorus of voices. So you already have this a little bit of mixing of like what is the stereotype for like maybe metal or other genres like that, but mixed in with these almost like angelic overtones. And so it gives already an opening to like a kind of unique vibe for what the album's gonna bring you.
Yeah,
I definitely think it's a very good introduction to like what the whole thing has to offer.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And I definitely like how like it's not afraid to like, this album's not afraid to come in like basically swinging, because this is one of the, actually no, that would be incorrect to say it's one of the louder songs, but it's
yeah.
I was about to say that. It's like, wait,
come in. If you're saying this is a louder song, be like, okay, well now this one's the new loud.
No, yeah, but it's I think it's a good song to kind of like get the vibe of the album of just like, it's big, we're here, we're not afraid to like move around things. It's also like, I need to double check this, but I think it's no, never mind. Forget what I was about to say. What I was about to say was going to be completely wrong. Never mind.
Hey man, you corrected in real time, and I can respect that.
I know. I guess I could have just said something else because no one would have known I would have been wrong. But no, I think Chokehold's a good one. I think it's also like one of the more like, it's one of the songs that you can kind of gives the whole vibe of the album in one, where it's just like, you know, because the whole point is like switching it up and doing things different, so you get the whole vibe of like, well, now it's rock, now it's slower, now it's doing this. So it's a good taste of just like, once you hear this song, be like, okay, so this is like what the vibe of the rest of the album's gonna get.
And you know, I think that this particular band, I guess, I think it's really strong when they kind of go into the gimmick. So like the previous two albums as well, they kind of established that it's like, and the frontman Vessel, when he had that interview, he's talking about like their whole deal, I guess, theme as a band is like they're trying to worship this God. So like kind of blends the line between love and worship, and then some of the worst things that can come into that. So as far as like, you know, all the muddy feelings that kind of just come with that kind of relationship.
Yeah. A song about abusive relationships. What's not to love, honestly?
Yeah, I know, right, dude? That's so interesting, because like I'll just vibe to this song and then I'm like looking at the lyrics, I'm like, oh man, do I have to feel things other than absolute hype?
It's definitely one of those songs where I'm like, and I've always like, for me, anytime I analyze a song, I always analyze like the beat and the music to it. But like, anytime I need to like stop back, like right now, I'm just sitting here like trying to like read the lyrics. I'm like, I'm not gonna lie, I had no clue that this song was about like an ancient like devil or like whatever the heck they're talking about. I mean, when I look at the album cover, then I'm like, you know, I probably should have guessed.
Yeah, when you take a look at that outlandish cover art. Yeah, and it kind of throws me back to like a pumped up Kicks type situation where I'm just rocking, and then I'm like, oh Christ.
Oh yeah, that's the exact thing. I was like, because I'm looking like, even if it hurts me, even if I can't sleep, or I'm sorry, show me what I cannot see, even if it hurts me, even if I can't sleep. It's like, yeah, it's like dark messaging here.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
but it's a vibe.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's a vibe. It's you got me in a choke. Oh, like it's even the main chorus is a weird thing to sing out loud, but it's a vibe. That's right. I like it. I enjoy the song. Any more from either of you about Chokehold?
That's all I got for Chokehold, man.
Great. That's all I got. All right, that's all we got. And now let's move on to, as Randy mentioned, the Summoning, which was the kind of preview thing they gave for
blew them up.
Yeah, this is the one that's like, you might have heard this one from, like, if you've heard of Sleep Token, this is probably the song that you've heard from them. It was the song they released before the whole album, and it's definitely good. I will say, it's not my favorite, because Will asked me to pick two of my favorites. It's not this one, and I do have complaints about it. But I'll let you guys gush about it first. Randy, I'll let you talk about the Summoning first.
All right, so it starts off kind of similar in regards to Chokehold or just maybe other modern metal and rock. You have a really good hook in regards to the main chorus, and that's one thing. A lot of these songs are, and this goes for most of the album, a lot of these songs are like 4 or 5 plus minutes. I think Take Me Back to Eden is like 8 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
But none of these songs am I ever at a point where I'm like, man, it just keeps going. Like, I'm vibing the entire time. Like, I don't get bored by it. But, I remember when the Summoning came out, people were like, oh, this might be, like, when it starts, they're like, oh, might be the hardest song. Because, like, it's one of the ones where, Vessel does have some, screamo in it.
Yeah.
And you got these, like amazing drums in it as he's screaming. Yeah. And it's so good. But the thing that that hooked everyone is around around 3 minutes in, when you're like, oh, this might be the end of the song if you didn't look at the runtime. You get this kind of like spacey synth going, into a little bit of piano, and then it breaks into funk. And like so many, I remember people having so many like reaction videos of just like, what the hell? How did people how did they blend this? Or like, who would have come up with this idea to blend it? And I remember like it did blow up partially due to TikTok of people covering, particularly during the funk breakdown, of saying, "Did I mistake you for a sign from God? Or are you really here to cast me off, or maybe just to turn me on?" Like, if you liked this song and like on TikTok, at some point you probably saw a thirst trap to that part, or maybe that's just my algorithm. But anyway,
I'm not gonna call you anything, but I'm gonna say that I'm pretty sure that's just your algorithm.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say anything, but I'm not gonna lie. I have no freaking idea what you're talking about right now.
all right,
I'm not
people
on TikTok,
know.
so I couldn't venture to guess.
I'm just like, what?
But anyway, this was the song that like blew them up in regards to genre blending and adding this funk breakdown in it. And I think maybe with some of the, I mean, I assume they already wrote and started recording a lot of the other songs on this album before this was released. But maybe it influenced them to lean a bit more heavy into some of these breakdowns, and also just, I guess how, yes, sensual this album is also in parts. So.
Oh yeah, the taste of the divine. I'm sure we'll get to that sometime here soon.
Yeah, we'll
we'll get there when we get to Rain.
Yeah, Rain. So I will say, and I feel like people might be upset, and by people I mean you two. It's a good song, but it's I think I put it in my note, it's a long ass song, and exactly like it was. I marked it on the thing. It's at 3:20. They stopped singing the first part of the song, and then for a solid actually I know exactly, it's because at 2:50 is when they start singing again. So for like a solid 2 minutes, it's just like the instrumentals, which I'm fine for a little like instrumental moment, especially if it's like a solo or whatever. But the actual transition itself from like the hard, because again it has like screw mode stuff elements, to like the more like funk, what almost feels like a different song, is a solid 2 minutes.
Yes, and it's wonderful.
It's beautiful.
Are you are you trying to tell me that's your least favorite part of the song?
I think yeah.
Dude, that is I'm actually okay. I'm not going to take any kind of personal offense. That is my favorite part. Okay, I can say not my favorite song on the album, but that is my favorite part of that. Man, when it goes into, do you like Pink Floyd?
Yes.
You do? How do you? Okay, all right. Well,
I'm not like okay. Let me. I'm not like Pink Floyd's like biggest
cognitive
fan.
dissonance, man.
I'm not Pink Floyd's big fan. I just remember like when like I was sitting there like really critiquing it. I'm just like, I liked the beat, but God, it's a good. But that 2 minutes.
Bro, I'm putting your address online. we'll just let the worshipers sort you out.
I knew. I told Ray. I even told Ray before. I was like, look, there's gonna be a take that you guys disagree with. And I'm gonna have some things that you guys are not gonna like.
Well, I'm sure we can at least agree on the fact that this song really speaks to their diversity as a band.
Yes,
and I don't have a TikTok, but I imagine if you were to take a 15-second clip of any part of this song, and it could service a completely different audience. So you know what I'm saying?
No, of course, and
yeah,
like, and that's the thing. Like, I essentially like break the song down to it's really two songs together. And they're both good songs. Like I had like the first part of the summoning that's more like screamo and heavy bass. I like the fact that even though, yes, it has moments where like he does like the screaming thing, it's not exactly when you expect it, and that's like it's gonna be really hard for me to explain without actually listening to it, like having it play. But there are moments in the song where I'm like, okay, it's building up. He's gonna do it now, and it doesn't really, and it almost like subverts your expectations and then brings it back. And then he does do like the screamo thing, but it fits because you're not. I feel like I'm going off track. It's not like traditional like, yelling or screamo like type music. It kind of like changes it up a little bit, I guess is the best way I could do it without actually like showing a visual. I feel like that was an awful description, terrible.
You know, man, we need to have a metalhead here among us, because like I was talking to Randy and I was like, yeah, I mean, I think I might really be them, and he was like, no, they're not. They are not explicitly a metal band. Like, you don't know what.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was about to say, I'm like, I've listened to like other types of metal, but I'd say I'm still very intro into metal.
Oh no, yeah.
So, like, I wouldn't say I'm like super knowledgeable on it, but still.
Yeah, when
more
Randy
than-
said screamo a few seconds ago, I was like, all right, adding that to my dictionary.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things where it's like, I'm trying to not call them screamo because that's not what the song or the band is. It just, like we said earlier, like with all genres of music, it has elements of it in it. But it also has elements of funk and techno and all these other things. So it's just like, it's another type of music put in the pile. And I think it's done well here.
Couldn't have said it better
Agreed.
myself.
Yeah. That's why it's the worst. No, I'm joking. It's not bad. I'm joking. It is a good song. I just think the transition is very long.
Needs a little bit of work. Yeah, well, I'll put you in touch with some people you can discuss that with.
Okay, I'm sure you don't need to do that. You don't need to do that. But Randy, we kind of skipped around you. What are your thoughts on? Actually, no, you.
No, we started with me.
Yeah, we started with you. Okay, Will was other than just disagreeing with my opinions.
Oh yeah, I've thrown my thoughts in there, man. It's okay. I got I do like how they're continuing with like talking about some of their specific word choices, like Taste of the Divine. So the whole album kind of overarchingly, like there's kind of like a taste element to it, which of course we'll talk about that in some of the other songs.
Yeah, like 2 songs from now.
Eventually.
Yeah.
2 songs from now. Almost purposely. We'll talk about
I'll save my spiel for then.
Yeah.
I'd say, well, let's keep on trucking and get on to the next song, Granite.
So I don't know if Will agree with me of this one, but I think Granite's my favorite song. It's the song I find myself.
This was my favorite of.
I support your
This
decision.
was my favorite of the singles before they released the album.
Because like it's the song I find myself like singing along to or like humming along to the most. I love the mixture of the piano and the drums as like the background. It's so sick. It's smooth. It's like butter. It's so smooth, and it goes from like that like smoothness to start like building up, and then eventually like turns into like harder and harder rock. But like in the like beginning, especially with the chorus with like the piano and like the drum line, I really like Granite. And I think like in my opinion, like Granite's what I wanted. Like it doesn't have as big of like transitions as the Summonings, but like I remember when you guys saying like, yeah, the Summoning's what blew him up, but like it wasn't. You sure it wasn't Granite? Because Granite's the one I would add to my playlist. Again, Summoning's not bad. It's a good song, but I think Granite is.
I mean, that's
what stands out to me.
That's fair. I mean, Granite is third, but it was definitely, I think, it was second before they released the entire album.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, Will, what are your thoughts on the rock known as Granite?
I mean,
not the song.
we're
talking about like the mineral. Yeah.
Oh, the mineral, dude. I've got a lot of thoughts, dude. That'll take me back to my Minecraft days. You're gonna have me talking about that for a while.
Honestly,
Anywho.
solid freaking block. Anyway, sorry. Talking about the song now. This joke has run its course.
I love this song. I think that, of course, as I'm sure you guys can figure now, I'm more of like a lyrics and looking at like the message of the song. I think that this one does a really good job at like laying out a scenario in which like you're having a fucking fight with your boyfriend or your girlfriend in the car and you're both stuck there together. And it just kind of sucks. Which, after you reach a certain point in time, you've been there. You know what it's like. And he's like talking about like sulfur on your breath, like, sulfur, the association with like unholy demons, that kind of thing. Like this person is being pretty foul and saying some things that are pretty unkind. And I mean, just the whole thing all together with all the instrumentals. Oh my God, what a great song!
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much all I had to say. You know, I think that's pretty much what I'm going to say about pretty much every song on this album. Is I'm going to be like, well, this one's pretty good.
Next
But I do
song.
like this. I do
Nothing
like
but
this one
bangers.
in particular. I think this is also going to be on my top 2.
Okay.
So I'm glad, we couldn't come to a consensus on the summoning, but we can hang out here. This is some solid.
Okay.
This is our
Does it go-
DMZ.
Is the summoning your other in your
No,
top
it is
2?
not.
Okay. So we're still. And which one is this 1 or 2 in that, or am I allowed?
That's.
Doesn't go
I
back
mean,
and
which
forth.
one of my children do I love more, man? I mean,
Pick right now. The other one we're shooting.
yeah, I know my grandma would say she
no.
loves me the most.
One of the songs is getting deleted from Spotify and Apple Music.
Love Granite. I'm gonna put this one in number 2.
Dang.
Sorry,
I
Granite.
I still feel like Grant's number 1 for me, but it's like it can be argued away. With a strong enough argument can get down to
Yeah,
2.
you're okay. Yeah, so you're open to change on that.
I'm an
one.
open-minded
I can
person,
respect it.
despite what some people believe. I actually, I believe opinions can vary. Speaking of opinions, Randy, your opinion on Granite, because you're also a lyric kind of person.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a point to where it is. You have these two people fighting in essence, and kind of going off at each other. Just one of the things about like acting like you only brought me in to get below me, of being like, yeah, like I only started like hanging out with you because I liked having sex with you, and like that's it. Like I don't like anything else about you. Like
I don't know if
that's
I'm.
some foul shit.
I don't know if my mind is just innocent, but I don't think I realized what that line meant until Randy said it right there. Like when Randy said it without singing it, I was like, "Oh, sex."
Yeah,
I
man,
get it
we'd
now.
rather be 6 feet
Yeah.
under than be lonely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
just like we're
Now
not
that
like
makes sense.
parting. It's just.
I don't know why that line took me so long
Yeah,
to figure
she's
out.
like, I don't love you, and he's like, that is the crock of shit.
Yeah, it's like that's
I mean,
a
I get
crock
the
of shit.
whole.
know
I get
he-
the idea that the song is about two people arguing. I got that. I just that specific line is what just flew over
All
my
right,
head
so
for
we're
some
gonna. All
reason.
right, oh yeah, we're gonna have to reboot. We're gonna have to go lyric by lyric.
No, we're not
Oh,
doing
no.
that.
All right, we're gonna be here for a few hours, boys. Let's buckle in, take a snack
Take
break,
forever.
use the bathroom. We'll reassemble.
We're not doing that. There are freaking 12 songs on here, and most of these songs are over like 5 minutes.
Yeah,
Shit would take forever.
Bangers.
Shit would take forever.
But yeah, and like another thing is like you only drink the water when you think it's holy. Of I guess kind of being like you're only really there and like and happy when good things are happening, but when tough, like when shit hits the fan, you're not wanting to be cooperative
Yeah.
or things like that. I think that's also kind of a good like
the
line
whole-
of saying
the
how
whole,
that
like,
is.
Yeah, you don't. The whole
I
idea,
liked that
like,
line a lot too. I kind of took it as like an allusion to drinking the Kool-Aid, like to be a part of something bigger, like only if it's
Yeah.
good,
Yeah,
only
that was
if it's
kinda-
good all the time.
That's kind of like my idea of just like you're only like good if there's like other people around, or if that's the current cool thing to do. Like if it's
You
like
only do it for the vine.
yeah, you do it. She does it for the clout.
Yeah, straight up.
She's here for the clout. Yeah. Like she would not be bold enough to come on the podcast and say the summoning's not one of her favorite songs. She would all right, well, that's the last time I'll make that
Oh,
joke.
dude, she's
that's a lot.
definitely too weak to do that. Yeah,
That's a lot. All right, that's
can't
that's
open
the end
herself
of
up to any criticism.
it. Okay.
And that's what I had on Granite. I think it's like I said, I think it's my favorite of the singles released before they released the entire album. I don't know if it's in my top 2 or not, but it's like it's within the top 4, I think.
Okay.
For sure.
So it's number 4.
I don't know, like it's good.
Okay, yeah, that was it. So, boys, would you say it's time that we bury the granite?
Yeah.
You know the best way to get rid of granite is water, and so we're gonna get rid of granite with Riga.
Aqua
Regia.
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 And it's worth noting that Aqua Regia means holy, or I'm sorry, not holy, royal water.
Oh. the podcast is the Fresh podcast is fun and educational.
Yeah, I was about to say that's your fun fact for the day. We got another one coming up, but
no, Ocarina is really good. This one's also really good. In the sense like it's very heavy into the piano now. Like we got a little bit of piano and drums and granite, and now Aqua is like really heavy holding on to like the piano, even has a solo with it. Kind of a like slow, mellower song. I wrote in my notes. It gives me anime ending vibes, like like when like the credits are like rolling and like that's kind of that's the vibe I get from
like the season finale.
I like that.
Just like at the end of the episode.
I like that a lot.
So that's kind of like where I get from it. And you might notice, like people probably have noticed this already, but like usually in my analyst, I always I dive more into like the instrumentals and like the melody and like beat of a song versus Randy and what seems like Will. You guys are more like into the lyrics and like the deeper meaning of like what's the song trying to say or what do the words mean. So with that said, Will,
what's the message?
Will, what is the message of this song? The people want to know.
Oh my god, I don't know. I have been dying to tell you the definitive message of this song. The only
and if you think otherwise, you're wrong. Stop listening to music.
It's very important to just cut the music entirely. I mean, just be on your way. I mean, this one is a little, so I can of course just identify, I mean, they've got a lot of, like chemical imagery coming into here. Gold rush, acid flux. I like the reference to sugar on the blood cells, carbon on the brain. I think that's, I have no idea what that means, but it sure does sound snappy.
I
really don't know what's going on here.
This is
I'm
definitely
going to look at it a few times.
So I just heard that. I was like, that's definitely related to drugs, but it's got to be something stronger than anything I've heard of, because I do not know what the fuck that means.
Yeah, man, oxytocin running in the ether. I mean, I can't really. I've read this a few times, and I was like, what does Aqua Regia mean? Is this providing, important context to like what the meaning of the song? I looked it up. Royal water. Oh, well, that doesn't take me any further. All I can say is that I love the song. I love the imagery. Particularly in the bridge when he's like, when I'm done dancing to alarm bells, no wonder my ears are still ringing. And the only thing I really have any thoughts on is when he's like, I'm done fighting off change, no wonder my arms are still swinging. It's like, well, he's really not. You know what I mean? Like, he's going to say that he's not going to go back or that he is going to make substantial changes in his life. And that shit just doesn't pan out.
Yeah.
Now, Drew, I know that you're like heavy into the instrumentals. Do you know how like in the middle of the song, it almost sounds like they're like out in public?
Kind of like it's not as there's an actual proper word for it. It's like it's not that there's an echo, it's like that they're in like, I don't know the proper audio
like term. Like background voice. Yeah, man. We need more experts here. No, we need to get more people in on this. This requires dissection. But it sounds to me like they're like I don't know, in some public place having a like my interpretation of it is like them having a meal. Like I think that maybe I'm reading way too far into it, but like you can almost hear like the clinking of plates and like voices in the background, and so it's just like. And so what it kind of came to me is like they're trying to meet on neutral territory, have like a calm conversation, but like shit ain't panning out.
Yeah, there's more like ambient noise, I guess would be.
Okay, yeah,
that would be the word I could. That would be the word I should use. my broadcasting professors would be like, "That's the correct vocab word. Good job."
Yeah, man.
Yeah, ambiency. Nice. But yeah, no, I get that. Yeah, I can kind of see it in this one. It's very, like I said, it's more mellow. It's more like, this isn't the point where they're not made to break up. They're not like, whatever the heck you want to call what happens next. They're kind of at the point where like, okay, this is the most reasonable time. I'm going to try to like, I guess, like you said, meet on neutral terms, just like be here in the moment. I guess is like the idea that they're trying to push across.
Yeah, and then just watch it all fall apart.
Yeah, and then just watch it not work. Always fun.
Right, part of somewhat like lyrically, since that's part of what I look at, is part of like saying that it's the perfect start to a perfect war. They're putting down the roses, picking up the sword. as we're saying in regards to like, all right, we're gonna like try and meet on equal terms, but I know this is gonna go downhill, and it's gonna go downhill, and we're gonna have to just, keep fighting for it. I guess fighting to get through this. So
Yeah. No, I agree.
I think if I were in that situation, I would not be able to keep my composure in a public place. I'd start screaming, throwing shit.
I wouldn't let
just
that.
me.
I wouldn't let that shit slide up. That's just me.
Yeah, Randy. If anything ever happens, just keep that in mind.
Me personally, I wouldn't take that. It's like that. This whole album is like that. This is a terrible meme, but it's just there's a meme where it's like a guy going like someone gets like dissed and he goes like me personally, or like wow that could never be me, and then it cuts to the other dude like you just hear like gunshots like bang bang bang. It's like never mind. he did not take that. That's what this album is. So any other thoughts on this song?
Well, I think at this point that we've reached in the album, what is this, track 4 on the album?
This is number 4.
I think it's, putting together like an overarching theme of like, okay, so I guess when you're listening to Taylor Swift, which I don't listen to Taylor Swift, I'm just have some thoughts on some of her music that I've heard, is like, she's like, man, this situation is not necessarily my fault, but like, and this which that's like traditional, like, love music, like this other person sucks, but I think it's very clearly laying out, like at this point,
I'm
like
the bad guy.
I think both of these people suck.
That was kind of like the thing I'm getting through. Is like radio. So I was like, I'm not gonna lie, the person singing this song is not a good person.
Yeah, no,
like, I don't think you're in the right
way you
here.
approach it. Yeah.
I'm not
hey,
saying
buddy,
the other,
have you done some introspection?
I'm not saying the other person is like a saint or whatever. But I don't think you're the good guy in the story.
Yeah, which definitely makes it interesting to throw kind of an anti-hero spin on it, because he's like, yeah, this situation sucks, and it's like, well, buddy, I have some feedback for you as well.
Well, I think we've kind of built up this song, so we'll get to the next song, which my phone kept auto-correcting to vote because it would not let me type this word. But this song is called Vor, and if you don't know what that is, don't look it up. Don't.
Well, Drew, I'm actually glad that you mentioned that, because this is the second fun fact of the day.
Oh, God.
Vorphilia is a fetish which revolves around either eating or being eaten by another person or creature. So that is the second fun fact of the day. We like to stay informative here.
And
this is like this is the song when like Randy first oh, this album's great, look at it. And like before I even look at it, I scrolled down like, okay, it's got like 12 songs. Wait, what does that one say? What is the name of this one? Is that?
Oh,
I must have read.
Again.
Yeah, my life is. But yeah, this is this one called Vor.
I actually didn't really know what Vor was before I heard this song, and then I was like. Okay. So I don't know if I haven't been on the internet enough. I feel like I'm on the internet a lot, but
I'm surprised you.
That was a first
because as someone who did know what that word meant, I was terrified of this song.
You're like, all right, cool.
This song is more like
it
has like the hook is like the chorus is very melodic and whatnot. But it's definitely screamo and like for like it just starts out just flat, just screamo, and I
have in my notes. It is.
I didn't realize you could do that, Vessel. Thank you very much. I didn't realize you could do that. Wow.
I had it in my notes of this song is literally the exact opposite of the song we just listened to. The last one was like heavy piano, mellow, like kind of like bit of a vibe. This one is rock, guitars, drums, yelling, lyrics about bones and being pain and death and being Ian and all this other fun stuff. But yeah, it's definitely like a tone shift from like, especially like putting these next to each other. was a very deliberate choice of like where we want like the bit of like the mellow kind of vibe of just like the calm before the storm, and then like now we're in the storm, the stuff. So yeah. So Randy gave his initial thoughts, and we'll come back to him. But Will, let's hear your thoughts on the song.
You know, man, my mind is trained to look for any kind of deeper meaning here. I think this dude's just trying to get 8. You know what I mean? And I guess that's pretty consistent.
I was
there have been some other.
I was praying that there was some other answer. I was like, they gotta have something else. There's gotta be something.
No, man, this is for all the
I must have missed
there.
something. I had to have missed something. It had to have been me.
You know, yeah, and so like I know that in their earlier songs on this album, you know, there were some references to like, you know, eating or taste or blah 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 blah. In their other albums too, so I believe their first and second, there's one song called "The Offering" where he's like, "Just take a bite of me, honest to God." And I don't know. I think this signals full and total. I guess if I had to ascribe any kind of meaning to this song, it would just be total submission, or I guess relegation, or finding a way to be content in like whatever you're in. Because like in a relationship, if you're just like, well, this isn't working, but there's not an option for me to be alone. It's just like, all right, fine, just do whatever, but don't break up with me.
Yeah. You know what really spices up a relationship? Being eaten alive.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, eat, play. Yeah, most people just kind of go. They're like, okay, this isn't working. You want to be in an open relationship? He's like, nah. Let's try something a little bit.
I want
different.
your mouth
Let's just
to be
become
open.
super committed.
Yeah,
I don't think there's any kind of further commitment now that you mentioned that, Randy.
Yeah.
Oh goodness. Okay, Randy, your turn. What is? Maybe you caught a deeper meaning of this song. Maybe you're the answer that we need.
No, I think it's. I mean, partially. Okay, I could see it as being, as Will was saying, fully offering yourself to this person. Like part of the lyrics is, "I want to have you to myself for once." So maybe it was this type of going back and forth with someone, and now it's just being like, look, I want to be with you so deeply and so badly type of situation, but
yeah,
maybe I'm reading into it too much.
You know, and
I'm
that's
kind
a beautiful
of
interpretation that I think
kinda...
is... Sorry, go on.
No, I was gonna say, like, I'm kind of forcing you to read into it, so like I guess that's fair.
Yeah.
And you know, I think that's totally 100%. That's totally valid. I also kind of like to have my own little headcanon where this is just like a shameless like song about Vor by the songwriter. He's like, let's get really weird with it.
Let's just.
I mean, it could be.
Yeah. I should clarify before we move on to the next song is, if you're not paying attention to like the actual like what's being said by the lyrics, it's not a bad song. It's a good like melody, good rock, like good like good beat to it. It actually is like a good song. It's just about Vor. Like that's the that's
you
the
know,
issue.
Drew, I think I'm going to read into that statement that you're not into Vor.
You know, I don't.
You firmly fall in the non-Vor camp.
You know, I don't kink shame, but I might have to. I think you might be onto something there, Will.
Well, hey man, as long as there's no kink shaming, we're keeping wholesome.
Yeah. We've
making sure everybody's got their thing. They have a safe space.
Long past wholesome. We started with choke me or chokehold. So no, we're not at wholesome.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I think it's definitely the one that's like this will be the one that like stands out to people and be like, are we good now? Are we gonna go through the rest of the album, or is that like the breaking point for people? Like, can we talk about this, or are we done? And for us, for this podcast, we're not done. We're gonna keep going.
You know, actually, it's one last thing to mention that the first time that I ever like sat down and listened to this album, like I kind of was late to the game. You know, it didn't get to me until it got to TikTok, till it got to Randy. But so I didn't listen to any of the singles that have been released. And when it got to Vor, I was like, "What the fuck is going on?"
Yeah,
It's one of those.
That's the last thing I have to say. I promise.
It's one of those like.
I just wanted to
things
share
where,
my
like,
experience.
I'm just like, I'm sitting in the car, not paying attention, just like listening to Millie, and then I kind of zone back in. I'm just like, wait, what did they just say? Did I?
You're like, this Chick-fil-A employee is looking at me real funny, and I don't understand why.
And then I'm like, oh, I left the app.
You're cracking Vor music.
So I have to like pick up like a reporter from like work, and they're like, hey, what are you listening to, man? Like, oh, no, it's just some album my cousin sent me. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, man, you can't claim that. You gotta along. Well, yeah, it's an album my cousin sent me. It's not really a thing that I'm.
Yeah. I just like it'd be like mashing like the skip button, just like go. It's like go to the next song, go to the next song, go to the next song.
Yeah.
well, let's go to the next song.
Let's go to the next song, indeed, with a simulation. Had a dyslexia almost. What? Ah, fuck autocorrect. Ascensionism. Dang it. The autocorrect on my phone. I
we'll
looked
get
at
into the
my
simulation
phone.
part though. That's prescient. That's relevant.
I
Yeah.
looked at my phone, not the actual like. Dyslexia did hurt me there. I looked at my phone, not like the list on my computer that has the real song titles. Anyway, this song, this one kind of goes a little bit back to like a slower pace, and I think this one does have like it does better at like the pace switching, because Vor was like just all out like loud noise, yelling, brah, in your face, Vor. And this one, it's like it can go slower and bring back up. And this one, it has more like auto tuning and like synthetic like type music into it. But I put in my notes like this actually, unlike a lot of like pop or like modern music, where like not to shit on all modern music, but like a lot of times when artists use auto tune, it's the entire song and it just kind of like
it's poorly done.
It's poorly done. I think this is an actual good use of auto-tune because it's only at certain parts. It's used sparingly to kind of bring your attention back to it. It's not
I think it's thematically appropriate, but yeah.
It's not just like he doesn't just leave it all the entire time, and it's just like this is just what he sounds like, this inhuman, like almost robotic thing. No, he like it goes back and forth, so it kind of like you can still get some of the song instead of it like just kind of being lazy with it, I guess is what I'm saying, and this is not.
Yeah,
So-
now I got a quick question for you, Drew. So I know that you
Yes.
said that you were not super fond of the breakdown of the summoning where it went like funk during just the total instrumental.
Yeah.
So this song is another one of those kind of genre mishmashes
Yeah.
where it's got some, slow, absolute bop, slow, super hard, and maybe so I might have messed that up a little bit. So do you like
Yeah, it is
the
super hard.
styles individually in this song, or do you have some reservations about like certain parts of it, or what?
I think I like it. I don't know why it doesn't. I don't know if it's like, even though like this is also a long song, and you're right, it is slower.
It's 7 minutes. It's a long song.
7 minutes. It's a long ass song, and it is. And they're
It's so
probably
good.
like,
7 minutes of bliss.
Yeah.
and if I wanted to be like a stickler and like a nitpicky, I would say like, yeah, there are probably like moments where it could be like cut down on like instrumentals and like slower. But honestly, and even like you can probably even say this for the summoning, where it's just like I feel like there's like that's almost the point, to be longer and to draw it out and to like really take their time with it. Like it might be like more than likely like it's probably like there's some intention there, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
It's not just long for the sake of being long, and we're not just doing the same thing over and over. It feels intentional. if I wanted to be super nitpicky and just like, no, make it how I like it, then I probably would have said, like, yeah, it probably can. There probably are moments where like the instrumentals are a bit, go on for a bit 2 minutes, but I'm not going to criticize it too hardly because it does feel like this is a purposeful design choice. Like, no, like there's like a story being told here and like moments to pause and think and to do all that. So I don't know if that answered your question or if that kind of just dodged around it. But
no, yeah, I think that was a solid answer. So that was very thoughtful. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So now I'll throw it to Randy. Randy, what are your thoughts about this song? I've kind of talked about like being the melody of it now.
Yeah. So this, I think, it might be my favorite. It's so hard to kind of choose a favorite, but I remember when the album came out, because I listened to the singles when they came out so much, a lot of the times I would jump to this song and then play from there down. This was when the album came out, this was like the first new one in regards to the album. And I think it's, at least story-wise, can be kind of about building yourself back up to a degree, and then or I guess maybe being content with like you and this person are done, and being like, look, you're giving me all these like terrible feelings. It ends with you make me wish I could disappear. No, you make me wish I could disappear. It's kind of just like, no, you are the issue here.
You're the problem. I just wanted to be a happy vor relationship, but no, you said I'm weird.
Yeah, and it's kind of like,
and that introduced some problems in the relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like part of like a really cool breakdown through here is he like talks a little bit about some of like talks about like the red flags and whatnot, and of this person that he's like, yeah, I ignored them, but I mean, it's still, they're red flags that you have that you didn't change. But I don't know if I'm going off course there, so I'm gonna throw it to Will, who I think we talked a little bit earlier, and he said this is also like one of his favorites.
Yeah, so I don't know. As far as like the meaning of this song, I kind of see it as like someone who's seriously pissed that things aren't working, but there's like a quiet resignation to it. I mean, and I think that this is where the actual music feeds into it. You know, it starts off like slow, like kind of sad, and then it just kind of pops off. He's like, all right, fine, be on your way. But like before you be on your way, let me list my 95 reasons. It's like Martin Luther nailing something on the door or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's just like, okay, well, here are all the things that you've done wrong, and here are all the things that I did right, and I don't know. But, just you understand at a certain point that you can't ever get through to someone, and it sucks.
It's the 7 minute. It's a 7 minute long version of just like, well, I'm leaving, but like they flick you off as they walk out the door. It's like,
yeah, and it kind of returns to the interesting, like the kind of religious aspect of their music, because it's talking about redemption, eternal ascension. Kind of why the song is called Ascensionism is he's like, I can grow past this, I can grow above, I can be more like for, and whether that's like for me or for someone else, it's like, I think it's a message like I can be more, but I don't think it really answers whether I will be more for myself or if I'm going to be more just to try to endlessly please another person.
Yeah. You know what? It's the best way of getting past a girl, joining a cult. It's kind of it's kind of what I'm taking away from this. Just
honestly, I know you'd say that jokingly, but I very much guarantee you'd be over that girl ASAP.
You joined a cult.
Yeah, man, if you join a cult, like find a family, like, cults they're all of course they're cults, but there's something good to be said for cults. I mean, if you just don't want to deal with the world anymore, go find a cult.
I'm not gonna. You're not gonna come on this podcast and then start going pro cult on us.
Dude, if we have not all at least had a little bit of time where we'd be like, maybe I should just go join a cult. I mean,
maybe Jehovah's Witness isn't that bad.
Oh, that's a little culty, but I'm talking like Scientology, man. They will definitely accept you.
Oh, easily, yeah.
Yeah, some kind of death cult. Also, dude, diamonds in the trees, pentagrams in the night sky. That is I love that.
That's
and I love the part where he breaks down like it's right after that initials of like, so you take what you want then leave, and then he just breaks like it's with that auto-tune bit where he's like, so who made you like this? Who encrypted your dark gospel in body language? Synapses snap back into blissful anguish. Tell me you met in past lives, past lie. What might be eating me from the inside, darling? And I'm just like, I don't know.
You just need to rap the whole thing, please, for us.
Yeah.
I can't rap.
But I was gonna say if what he was doing, if what he was doing, you would have called rap. I think you need to listen to more diverse music, my friend.
Hey man, it's a little rapish, I suppose, but yeah, I definitely am going to take that criticism to heart because I really don't know shit. But and when he was talking about the lyrics, I really do enjoy how it's like kind of blending the line between technology and understanding of God. And there's like a lot of tech talk in this one, a lot of talk of algorithms, which I've heard that word before.
Look, we know that word too well on this podcast.
Yeah. I was
the greatest
about to say,
of darkness, the algorithm. Kind of the worst. All right.
Anyway,
but yeah, I think we'll move on to the next song. And this song poses a question. Are you okay? Is the name of the song. And normally I'm the guy that.
Are you really okay?
Are you really okay? All right. Well, I'm not.
Autocorrect again.
Strikes
again.
Strikes again. I really should just stop looking at my phone if I'm not looking at notes. But for this one, I know I'm normally like the one that like talks about like the beat, the music, the melody and stuff. But honestly, for this one, I was like, I think this one, well, not in my top 2 favorites. I will say probably has some of like my favorite like lyrics in it. I really like the lyrics of this song. I almost get and it might just because there's a song with a similar title, but I get almost like a My Chemical Romance kind of vibe from them. Of just like that kind of like almost like punk rock. And it's probably just because I'm thinking every time I listen to this song, I think of "I'm Not Okay" by My Chemical Romance.
I was about to say, I would not classify this as a pop rock or pop punk by any means. This song.
Yeah, I think it's just like the lyrics for some of them, like it's probably just and mainly just the titles is just similar. So maybe that's just why like that's where my mind goes.
That's where your brain defaults to.
That's what my brain defaults to. But no, I like the lyrics of it, and I am immediately lost where like cutting deeper than the scars could run, dripping crimson on the carpet. Like there's a lot of like almost like poetry like lines in this, and I don't know. This one that's what stood out to me on this one. What about you, Randy? What stood out to you on this song?
Yeah, I'd say this is almost more like of like almost a rock ballad, almost. And I've related to this song by having, as you were talking earlier about dripping crimson on the carpet, cutting deeper than the scars could run. If you haven't put it together yet, self-harm.
Yeah.
Having friends that I knew or just people that I cared about in general, who, and I'm not going to obviously say names, of people who had in the past, performed some form of self-harm like that. And part of it is also like, saying I want to help you, but I don't know how, of being in that position of just like I want to help you, but like this is a type of pain I don't know how to help you fix. I cannot fix your wounds this time. And even if that person tells you, "Oh, I'm fine," you know that there's something deeper there, and I think all you can do is try and be there and supportive, but you want to do more, but it's hard to be able to do anything.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, because that's also like, and like I said, not going to give specifics, not going to give names, but as someone who's like, yes, I've seen that before, of just like, I know this person needs help, but I cannot do anything about that. And like that help is saying just like, I want to, like, and that's kind of like the things that I like, even the name of it, like, are you it's almost like if you ask someone, it's like, how are you doing? They're like, oh, I'm okay, whatever. It's like, are you really okay? Like, you're not, like, you want them to say, I need help, I want support. Like, you need them to like give you permission to help, or else you'll be forceful. But that's kind of, it's a very like dark message, and a very like kind of disturbing path that honestly is like very real for a lot of people. Like, whether you're going through those kind of thoughts, or you just are trying to support someone who's going through their thoughts, it's a very like, it's a big struggle. Will, we're kind of getting off track into a dark place. What about you? What are your thoughts on this song?
Oh yeah, well, let's continue in the darkness. So, I mean, I like this song a lot. I know that you did not really do any talking about like the instrumentals or the beat or anything like that, because as opposed to other songs, this one is like kind of lacking in a lot of parts. But I think that the music kind of paints a picture of beauty or calm, or and in the lyrics, it's like, caught you reading by the sunrise, through the silence of the hillside. Like, this place sounds pretty dope. Nice, peaceful. There's a sunrise. You can see the sun coming up. That's which is often associated with like renewal or redemption, and it's just this guy who's utterly powerless to do anything in this ostensibly wonderful place to help someone who's just going through a ton of crap. And I think that what it really just kind of gets to, from the perspective of, it's not Vessel the singer, or I guess the person who was focused on, that it's his partner that's struggling with self-harm, suicidal ideation. But I don't think that is the focus of the song, is the partner, but it's him, because he's like, there's nothing that I can do. There's just nothing at all. Which is, an awful feeling that, unfortunately too many people are familiar with, but it's just like, how do you reach into someone's mind and fix things? It's just not possible. And I think that that's something that makes a lot of people uncomfortable, makes them feel useless, and just, it's bad times. I'd say, I think that's safe to say.
I agree with you. And the last kind of thing I'll say about this song is, that is kind of like there's another layer on that, of just like, I think that's an important distinction of just like, because like you said, this is being told by the perspective of, I guess we're calling him the Vessel, and not his partner.
Yes, they do call themselves Vessel. Yeah.
Okay, that is what they're called. Okay.
Yeah, the lead singer calls himself Vessel.
Okay, but it's like from his perspective, not of the perspective of the person that is having these thoughts. So in their eyes, it's like, this is a great place. It's a beautiful sunrise. Like, in my kind of mind, it's like, they're in a good situation. They should be in a good place right now. There isn't necessarily a reason to be sad. And he's like,
it's like, you're not in a war-torn hellscape.
Yeah, it's like, I don't understand how to make this better. But that's just kind of ultimately like, people that have these thoughts, it's not necessarily about the situation that they're in. It's something inside of them. So it's, I don't know. It's an interesting description, an interesting like point of view from that. So, but yeah, very dark topic, very interesting and like thought-provoking song.
And it's very interesting that you mentioned that, where it's like their presence in such a nice place. I know that the first lyric, which is something I hadn't really looked at until literally just now, is like, I raised you in the dark. And so I wonder if it's not trying to portray an environment like that, the subject, like we're saying vessel, so that vessel cultivated to like try to be like, you have this safe space, this is what I am able to do, but that's kind of all. That's kind of it.
Yeah, it's like it is out of my hands. It's about you now. I can't do anything.
I gave you this dope ass farm to hang out. You really got to figure things out.
Yeah, I keep.
Oh.
That's a dark way to look at it, but yeah, I mean, kind of.
A humorous oversimplification.
Incredibly, but I guess not inaccurate.
Got a little nugget of truth somewhere in there, but
somewhere's in there. But yeah, let's go to the next song. I hope I don't. The Apparition. Can I do that one right?
You did it right. Congratulations.
I did it right. Let's go. I said it slow. I'm like, we're gonna look at the computer screen and read. We can read. We've been doing so for a very long time. Yeah, I don't have too many notes on it. I think for this one, I'm like, it's a lot. I feel like, honestly, if I went onto it, it'd be a lot of the positives I said about, but it'd be like I was repeating myself from the other side. It's like, I like the lyrics, I like the beat change, but I almost feel like it does a lot of what the other songs are doing. And it's not like, that's a weird criticism because it's doing it well. And it has like different song stuff, but I feel like, I don't know why this one doesn't stand out as much to me as the others. And I feel like I'm being like mean about it.
It does appear later in the album.
Yeah.
Dude, that's really interesting that you mentioned that. I kind of want to pick your brain on that. Have you noticed that like there is a very similar trend among all the songs of the album? Like, so although, the genres that they kind of mash together are all very different and unique, it almost all follows the same formula. So the production, like the ultimate product, is good, but they're all in that way sort of similar.
Maybe, and maybe this is just like, maybe this was just the first song where I like picked up on it, and maybe that's why I'm feeling it directly here, because that's why I'm like, a lot of them I'm just like, yeah, I don't have strong feelings about. Like, it's almost like I've heard this song before. Like, on the same album, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it sounds very familiar, and I have some friends that are very into music theory that I'd be very interested in their take on that, because one of my friends that I remember it was forever ago, but I was listening to Mumford & Sons, and they're like, that's the same song 40 times, and I'm like, well, what do you mean? They're distinctly different songs. And they're like, they're all the same key, and I was like, oh, I don't know what that means, but I respect your feedback. And so, I kind of we'll find a music person and we'll document their findings.
Right? Yeah, and maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's just like, and again, music is difficult to make. I should clarify, and this is number 8 out of 12. So yeah. It stands to reason, like, yeah, one of them might sound like the others. It's very hard to make 12, especially like 12 almost 8-minute songs, all sound very unique and different. So,
and maybe that's our perception on it. Like, it's a clash of like, I don't know when they do defy such a, because any band, they're gonna have like okay, so most bands, as far as I know, they have a genre and they stick to it. Like, if they're branching out like this, that might just be our perception of their music. But it's also worth noting that there are callbacks all across this album to the previous 2 albums as well. This one actually kind of finishes like an album trilogy, which is why I like it so much. But if you do listen to some of their other albums, you'll pick up on like certain audio cues, I guess, for lack of a better term, and chords. I think I'm using the word chords correctly, that do come back, that have inherent meaning to them.
Okay, yeah. I don't know what those meanings are, so I couldn't tell if you're using that word right or not, but I believe
a chord is like a set of certain,
I know what the
like,
word chord
notes
is.
together.
Yeah.
I'm sure he knows what chord is.
I know what the word chord means. I just
I
don't know
of
if
chords.
I just don't know if the other songs also have that same chord or melody or whatever thing he's trying to say. But yeah, let's Reddy, what are your kind of thoughts about like this song? We've kind of talked about it.
I don't know what you guys are on about. This song is so good.
Okay, I just want to clarify. I had my thoughts. I've already had them. This song's a bop.
Okay.
For the record, this song slaps.
I never said I disliked the song.
None of us ever said we didn't like it, Randy.
Well,
Yeah.
I guess in regards to saying they're kind of samey, because this adds, I guess maybe you could say similar in Ascensionism to where like after that initial start, it has almost like the way I've kind of like would describe it is be like it has kind of these like after that initial start these like trap high top beats in it. Particularly when it's and then he is almost Vessel is like almost rapping in it, and so and I really like, at least in regards to this, it's kind of almost it's the apparition, and it's at least how I see it. I'm sure it's supposed to be more towards the goddess, whatever, sleep, but I kind of see it as having someone that you lost connection with, but they keep like haunting you in your dreams of just also kind of waiting for, hopefully, like while you're in that dream, you're enjoying it, but then you wake up and you're kind of mad that you had the dream situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like that's
and
over.
As someone who's had that, as well, yeah, to where like it's in the moment, it's good as the dream's happening, and then you wake up and you're like, damn it, I fucking dreamed about that person. God, as someone who's had that moment, hard feels. And so it's like, I don't know, it's just I really like their mix of their slow beginning into these trap high tops into then some into rock more towards the end. And so I don't know what you guys were on about being like it's samey, because it's still different than Ascensionism in my opinion. So
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. They are. I think it's kind of like the formula that I think Drew and I were talking about is a little samey, but the songs themselves are distinctly different. But you know, and when you said like what did you say, like trap high top?
High tops, like trap high beats or high notes.
Trap. Okay, you know, because when you said that, I was like, is he talking about shoes? Like, I don't. It's like he was like trap high tops, and I was like, is that some brand I don't? Is like because again, I don't have a TikTok account. I have no connection with the world whatsoever. I feel like
I don't. That's
but,
I don't think that's a TikTok thing. I'm not even sure that's a. I think pretty sure Ray just made that term
it's
up.
not. I mean, no, but it's.
I'm sure it exists. He hears some things from time to time.
No.
I guess I assume you guys haven't really ever listened to like trap music or whatever. But
What
if
is
you
trap?
basically skip to like a minute 10 in the song roughly.
Well, yeah,
Or
I'll
maybe
do
not
that
a minute.
sometime later.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
those. Dun. It has. It's kind of hard to describe without just playing part of the
Yeah.
music. But
No, I know.
anyway,
I know that.
Drew, you've got that queued up, right? You can just hit a button.
Not. Yeah, get copyright for that. I mean, I guess I could probably play a little bit of it, but it's fine. We're not. I'm not
That would be
gonna waste
probably
my
pretty
time.
involved.
I don't. I'm gonna be lazy. I'm not gonna do that.
Fair
all
enough.
right. But that's my opinions on it. But let's
No, yeah,
head on down to the next song.
no, I gotcha.
Oh, I didn't say my thing about it.
What's your thing about it?
Oh,
Will?
you didn't?
'Cause I'm the
Well,
one
thank
that
you so much for
transitions.
thank you for asking, Drew.
This is my podcast.
I'm sorry, I defer to your judgment. But so this is one of those songs like across the album, like they kind of skew from on the spectrum of like metaphorical to literal. Like obviously, "Are You Really Okay" is a very literal song. He's like, "This girl is trying to kill herself."
Yeah.
But this one I think is much more metaphorical, and it kind of does play into what the band has established as like their gimmick, which is the God's Sleep, which I thought was a really interesting way. As I guess, yeah, I guess as a lack of a better word, as a vessel for the interpretation of the meaning of the song, was just like, you can't take me with you. Like that kind of just sucks a little bit.
Damn it! Oh shucks!
Oh darn!
I can't live with Cthulhu. I know
yeah, man.
That's not what they're
Cthulhu can eat me. Are you kidding?
The direction
I like the lyric though. You turn up in the reveries of my mind, where it's just like you never quite. And I think that's like dreams and sleep, which I think is a very interesting metaphor to talk about relationships with. Is like that's something that you don't choose. It's something that your mind generates. It's something that stays with you. So I kind of take that as like intrusive thoughts of a lover that you have that just kind of it's always with you. It's almost like omniscient,
like it's
or omnipresent, I guess would be a better word.
Yeah, it's that part of the brain that you can't control it. Like it's just gonna be with you. Like and it keeps reminding you that like you're not really over this completely, and you don't know if you ever will be. We're just gonna stick with you forever. Oh, hopefully not.
Yeah.
Forever. Yeah.
Well,
nothing lasts forever, but
yeah. Eventually you'll die.
Yeah, then you don't gotta worry about it no more.
That's something else. Yeah. Remember, kids, you'll die eventually.
Yeah. For
Anyway,
anyone who's
the
not
next
previously
song.
aware of that.
Yeah, if you didn't know, death is coming for you. So the next song, as I pronounce it, De Witiliminimum, or
dude, you nailed it.
Do you did you wish that you liked me? Or it's an
Love
acronym
me.
for it. Shit, fuck you.
It's not like do you wish that you love me?
We're not heavy commitments here, all right? In the sleep, is that what it was called? Sleep God?
Sleep, yeah.
It's we could just do like for now. But no, this one I think maybe Aberration probably didn't stand out to me because it's in between Are You Okay, which is like really heavy lyrics, and this one, which is probably stands out the most because this one's got freaking bongos in it. This one's a very different vibe. And it's like it's I don't even know if I want to say it stands out like it's my favorite, but it's the one that like stands out to me the most. Like I almost want to say it's like the most different in terms of like
It's very kind of like pop.
Yeah, I agree. This is the
Just
most
like a
like
solid
pop song.
Yeah, really dream poppy.
It is. I think I said like if you just took the lyrics and just put like the basic pop song like melody, which if you don't know what that is, look it up. I'm pretty sure it was Ed Sheeran that like did a video. It's like name any popular song and I can play it with 4 chords, and he did it. And it's you can take these lyrics and put it onto like any of those melodies, and it'll just be. It'll just fit perfectly. But yeah, it's very pop song kind of like sounding. It has like what sounds like bongo drums in the background. Like it has like this different kind of vibe to it. But I kind of like it. I kind of like the fact that like it's lyrically is not the most like diverse as the others. I think it's really cool for like the actual sound that it makes, like the actual like music production behind this one. But that's just my take. Randy, what about you? Do you get that, or are you kind of like, it's whatever?
I mean, this was the last single they released before the album, and it was. I don't know if it is my least favorite of that, of the singles. As I've listened to it more and more, and it's just a solid, good like pop song, and it's kind of just talking about um wishing this person that you're with, like you could tell maybe they're slipping away from you or something, but like maybe they don't even realize it yet. Um, and saying like, I wish, that you were able to love me.
Yeah.
And as they're kind of slipping out, one of the lyrics is like, maybe not that you conceal your feelings, maybe they just, or maybe not that you conceal your feelings, they just don't exist. To where it's like,
Yeah.
maybe, yeah, like, you're kind of just with me to be with me, but like, I
Yeah.
can tell you're not into it.
Like one person in this relationship is trying a lot harder than the other. Like, and the only thing that's keeping the opposite person in this relationship is like maybe like I don't want to hurt their feelings, but like I'm not. It seems like yeah, it's a very one-sided relationship. Will, your turn to talk.
I think this one kind of harkens back to what's it called, Granite.
Yeah.
Similar theme, but I think it's the natural evolution of that theme, where it's just kind of coming to terms where, in Granite he was like, okay, well you're saying you don't love me, I know that's crock shit, and this one he's like, maybe you actually just don't love me, and that's which of course it's not a fun feeling to experience, but as far as the actual music in the song goes, I don't think I was as into it as I was in other songs on the album. It definitely took me kind of off guard because, like you were saying, this one is definitely just kind of the most kind of an outlier as far as the rest of the music on the album goes. But all in all, solid song.
Yeah.
I love the at the in the outro where it's like smile back at me in between saying, do you wish that you loved me, and kind of like in a kind of a spacey voice, just something that I think is really easy to miss, and like which I know we've already talked about it, but again, just sit down, have a solid listen to this album, you might pick up some things you may have missed.
Yeah, it's just and the outro is just like at the end, if you read them without the do you love me, it's like smile back at me, please smile back at me.
Yeah, dude, that honestly, listen to that was heartbreaking just to listen to. Which I definitely do like this song. I think it's very meaningful. I think that it was great. But if I were, it's not okay. I think this is a really good way to put it. I would not put this song on during my commute if I'm just trying to bop. But it is a great song. Agreed. And a big contribution to the album.
I can see that. Yeah, it's not. That makes sense. That's not ridiculous. That is not ridiculous at all to say. Y'all won't get that reference. I should not be.
I was wondering. I was like, is that a thing?
It's a meme from a sports show. So yeah, no, you guys wouldn't get that.
Oh yeah, dude, sports, not me.
No, it's fair. It's fair. But yeah, so that's Dear Whitillum, all summed up. And I'm gonna I think that's a great way to say it.
It is. One final thing. I love the lyric, and there is something eating me alive. I don't know what it is.
Could be you.
Be like, dude, you asked specifically for that.
Yeah,
that's what you ordered.
Yeah. Why something's like eating like my outsides a lot. It's like, let's go back 3, 4 songs.
Like, you want to
I think I can answer you. I think you can answer this question for us.
I'll send the vessel performer and be like, yeah, I think I can clear this one up for you, bud.
But yeah, that's
anywho.
That's that song. And now we get to the song that I am the most confident to say correctly, Rain. We got that one. We got this one.
You've nailed them like 3 or 4 times in a row.
I fucking have not. But Rain is a much more like it goes back to kind of being a bit more like mellow, a bit more like softer things, very heavy into the lyrics and into like the storytelling of this one. I really like the build up into the chorus of this. So it's just like it ramps up and ramps up and ramps up, and like that kind of payoff into and it just like rain, you cast down to dust, all that. I think it does a really good job of like building up the music into the chorus as well, but then still going back to like the main part of the song is very like mellow and almost like somber, and this is where we start getting into, you guys have even referenced some of the lyrics of just like getting more into like, it's that chemical cut that I can get down with, and like I think it harks back to a lot of some of the other like themes and stuff that we were talking about. So Randy, how about you talk about some rain?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely has. You were talking about it still mellow, which like it is, but it still has some like chunky guitar in it.
Yeah.
I think for sure, and I kind of like that, in my opinion. Like it starts off saying the vicious cycle was over the moment you smiled at me. It's kind of like that moving on, you've met someone new, but before that you were just a stoic statue fit for nobody. So it's kind of like you've met someone new, and you're finally being able to kind of come back to life. That's part of like rain. Rain is also part of renewal, because spring comes around, we get lots of rain, and all of the flowers bloom and whatnot. And so also part of it, it's very that rain is not coming from the sky. Just to leave it at that. Because part of it is like, so touch me again. I can feel my shadow dissolving. He's coming out of this depression, the shell, and it's like, will you cleanse me with pleasure? And it's just like, oh, okay. So that rain is not coming from the sky.
No.
But yeah, it's a solid song. It has good drums in it, and it's just a good vibe.
It's a good vibe. Will, what are your readings on the vibes of the song?
So yeah, sorry, I was just taking a moment to debate whether I should say something that I probably shouldn't say on the podcast. Do I have permission?
I mean, we've already talked about war, and so.
Oh yeah, totally. When Randy was like, "That rain's not coming from the shower," I was like, "The sky." I was like, "Is he talking about a golden shower?"
No.
Yes. I'm not gonna lie. That's also what I thought Randy was implying.
No.
I was very much thinking, I was like, is he implying this is a song about a golden shower? Oh, that's also where my mind went to. I'm glad you said something. Because I was like, maybe I'm just like having like a dirty thought. Maybe I'm just being messed up.
I mean, it is dirty, but it's not that.
All right, sorry about that, fellas. I had to cough my lungs up before I mic'd back up. But I like that, Randy. I like your interpretation of it. Where it's like you're just kind of being saved or moving on. I kind of interpreted this one as like, I am coming out of this absolutely terrible relationship, and I am going back into an absolutely terrible relationship. Like trying to find a savior where you should not be finding a savior. Yeah. And I think that's because he's like, well, no, maybe that was lyric for the old song. No. Yeah, but he's talking about like, you've got your hooks in me. I kind of interpreted that more as like the person that I am going to, that is, I'm running away from a person, and the person I'm going to sucks as well. So it's just kind of bouncing back and forth from terrible person to terrible person, trying to find like inherent value in himself that he's not getting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've changed my interpretation.
Maybe he's a little blind to those hooks with how much rain there is.
Yeah, all the pee in his eyes because of the golden shower. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, my God.
We're with you.
For you.
We're with you.
Randy, I 100% endorse what you said. Yeah.
Yes. Randy, I'm not going to say that.
He's like, all right, well, she'll eat me, but she won't piss on me. I gotta go find a pisser.
I gotta find a.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so that's my new
God.
interpretation of it.
Honestly,
Oh,
I'm so.
God.
That's what mine is now too. Thanks for that, Randy.
Anyway, you were about to talk
I've
about your
exhausted what I've got.
interpretation of the song, Drew.
What? Oh, sorry.
Oh no, I was gonna make. Oh no, my interpretation was gonna be a golden shower joke where we don't have to go.
Okay.
To the, it's just gonna be.
Are we
joke.
done here?
I think we're done here. I think we're. This is all Randy's fault. This is fun. Okay.
It's not my fault. You're the one that took it there.
You shut up. It's so cryptic. So the next one, I had on my notes. I was like, I am surprised this is not like the last song in the album, given that it's also the same name as the album, which is "Take Me Back to Eden."
The title track.
It's the title track. It is, but like it's like I'm surprised it's like the second to last one because this is like an almost 9-minute song, and it feels like the big like climax. It feels like the climax of the story. I think this is like my number 2, and it could be argued a number 1. This feels like this is where they put everything into it. And this one I'm not gonna say like, oh, they could have like changed this and like done this. Like, no, this was 9 minutes eight and a half minutes by intention. Like this, it had to be this long because it goes in like almost every direction that the other ones go. It changes beats a lot. It changes everything up a lot. It's the title song. It's the big like closing number. And I feel it's almost like, how do I put this? Like stereotypical to like, pick like the title song as like your favorite. It's almost like, it's like my thing where I'm like, I don't like it if my picking the main character as my favorite character in a show. Like it has to be like one of like the side guys. Cause I don't want to be like generic or basic, but I'm just like, no, this probably deserves to be in my like top 2. It's definitely the one that feels like there was the most effort put into this to like this should stand out. This should be the one that like even if this did not have the same title as the album, it would be obvious that this is the title track. If that makes sense. So, Will, what are your thoughts on that now that you know my both of my top 2s?
Well, I will get to. Hold on. Let me type it up real quick.
Okay.
So just to rephrase what you said, you feel like this should be the final song of the album.
Yes.
That's kind of fair. I would say the last song is almost an epilogue.
Well, I'm going to shred y'all to pieces when we get to the last song. But before I do that...
He had a right note to... I feel like I'm at court right now. It's like...
yeah, man, you're being deposed. Hey, man, just to make sure I...
It's like, can you... you said this, right? And can the record state that he said this? And I'm just like, oh, God, what did I say?
Yeah, man, you don't know what you just walked into. But I think that the song is incredible. I think that the audio engineering in the song is incredible. When it goes into the chorus where it's my, those eyes like fire, you can hear us like they inserted a little sound effect that is just wonderful. That's it's like a growling, like a big growling beast. Yeah. And I just think that it's a beautiful song. I love every part of it. Not on my top 2, I must say, although I will hype this song for as long as I am alive. Yeah. I really like the metaphor of being a winged insect in a funeral pyre, like something dangerous that you were just endlessly drawn to. Mm-hmm. And I also love, I have traveled far beyond the path of reason. Like, I have been doing some not good stuff, and I need to go back. Let's kind of wind this back, reassess, take a moment. Are we making good life choices? That kind of thing. So, as far as like the meaning of the song, I think that's, A++, and the music of the song too, also A++. I mean, there's just, this is like, and as I'm describing it, no, not on my top 2. But very good song.
Like, it's a reasonable pick that it's on mine, I guess.
Oh yeah, it's a reasonable pick.
That is like one of the most reasonable picks of all. And when you were saying, you're like, I feel like kind of a shill doing, picking the title
Yeah.
track as my. No, do not feel like that in any
It's
way,
also
shape, or
their
form. The
second most
song
popular
absolutely
song.
goes hard.
Yeah, like it's obvious why this one's really good.
Now, Randy, was this released as a single?
No.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify. I wasn't 100%. Didn't get into it until too late, but I just wanted.
No,
to...
this didn't come
He's
out
building his
until,
case. He's about to,
until
he's
the
about to
full album.
destroy me with facts and logic here in a second.
Oh
When we
yeah,
get
dude,
to
I'm
the
gonna
next
Ben
song.
Shapiro the shit out of you.
Damn.
Oh no.
All right.
Oh,
Randy,
get ready for it, boys.
Oh god, Randy, your thoughts on "Take Me Back to Eden"? We talked a lot about like, melody and
Yeah,
stuff.
To talk about it a little bit musically, it starts out, as you were saying, very like soft, and it kind of continues through that, and then it just ends super chunky and very like deathcore is how I heard it was classified. Again, new into metal, so maybe I'm classifying that slightly wrong, but yeah, when it just ends of like just screaming "Take me back to Eden," I don't know, like with that slow or like throughout the build of the entire song and then cutting into that, I don't know, I think it was just like a great transition.
Yeah.
I don't really have much in regards to, I think, lyrically, other than kind of what Will already touched on, saying about saying, those eyes are like fire, I'm a winged insect in your funeral pyre. Just like being constantly drawn into this like dangerous situation.
Yeah.
And then just ending with screaming, I've traveled far beyond the path of reason. Take me back to Eden. Take me back to Eden. Like, I need to restart and rethink these things I've done in my life.
Yeah.
And there's also a really good, like, fun little breakdown where he is, like I said, he's doing, like, kind of rapping again in it. And it's just, I don't know, it's cool. It's cool to have those, like, genres mixed together to where you have soft, and then you have rap, and then you have just dummy deathcore, like, chunky guitar thickness, and it's like, it's just great.
Yeah. I don't know if I ever like classify it like specifically as rap, but I kind of like get what you're talking about, like the vibes from it. I don't know.
Yeah, like
Anyway.
what would you call? What do you call that? I don't know.
Yeah,
He's
that's why
talking
I'm like, I'd say
fast
it's like
with
almost
some-
rap. It's not quite.
Yeah.
with like, it's not. Now
With
it's
some
not
good
like
rhymes. Rap.
American rap, but it's we're gonna call this British rap. I think we've coined a new phrase.
No, that's
I don't know about
Brit-
that, but
British rap is already a thing.
No, I think no. I don't.
Okay.
I don't think it
Okay.
is.
Never mind. All right. Sure. My fault.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, other than
Uh,
just like it has some really cool progression in it, and the
Yeah.
production's fantastic. Like it's a solid song, and that's why it's number 2 on their most popular.
All right. And number 2 for a good reason. So the final song as we wrap up.
You want me to say it?
Yeah, I was about to say. Let's see. No. Let's see how
Yeah,
Drew does on this one.
I'm thinking.
All
I've
right.
never said. Unslide.
No.
Nope.
Inslide. E-slide.
Nope.
How the fuck?
Nope.
Hold on. Maybe he autocorrect. Spell it for us real quick, Drew.
EUCILD. I don't fucking know.
No, it is EUCLID.
Yeah.
That is
Well, still.
Euclid, most commonly associated. So Euclid was a mathematician that's like, so like Euclidean geometry is like with a bunch of right angles and I don't know why it's called Euclid. I honestly I can't figure that one out.
It's
Okay,
the guy's
I'm also
name.
okay. I'm glad that like I don't. I'm also like I don't know why it's named after this random mathematician. Because like I think Randy kind of summarized it best where it's like it is kind of like the epilogue of the story. It is it's kind of the I guess like when I read the lyrics, I almost read it as like, oh, whatever happened happened type vibe to it, where it's like if
Maybe
my fate,
euphoric.
yeah, maybe that's probably a good word for it. Like
It's kind of the vibe.
yeah, that's a good way to describe it. Like call me when you get a chance. I can feel. Well, I guess that's maybe reading out of context. I can feel the walls closing around me isn't exactly the best example, but like just kind of just like, and we're just gonna move forward. We're just gonna vibe. We're just gonna let it happen. Just kind of, I think it's just like acceptance is the vibe I get for it. I feel like Will's very very ready to tell me why I'm either wrong or should like this song more, so I'll toss it on to Will.
Okay. Well, I'm not telling you that you shouldn't like this song more. I'm sure that you already like this song at least a little bit, but
Yeah.
I really, well, first off, I know that we haven't talked like a ton about like what kind of music was actually in there, but just to talk a little bit about the music, I do like the outro where it's talking, where it's like they do the verses and the bridge over again over one another. I really liked that. But to talk more about the significance of the song, so my takeaway from this is like, he definitely is suicidal, and he's saying like, so I know if my fate is a bad collision and if my mind is an open highway, so like if he's gonna collision, obviously car crash can kill people. My mind is an open highway, like that is the avenue through which a bad collision may take place. Give me the Twilight two-way vision, Twilight often associated with death, and one last ride on a sunset skylane. So what I'm taking from this is that he's finna kill himself, but the refrain that comes immediately after that is, call me when you get the chance, I can feel the walls around me closing in. So like, he's gotten to a point where he's comfortable reaching out for help, which I think is, obviously that's a good thing. And he's looking for help, looking for support, kind of getting out of his ways of, so over the course of the other couple of, so like I was saying, this album is kind of the last album in the trilogy, but I think it marks an important character progression where it's like, all right, I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to find inherent meaning in my own life. And like, when I get kind of wrapped up in these dark thoughts, I can reach out to people. I can keep going. So I think that is, a good message of the song. Of course, it also goes on to some kind of reminiscing about like when he was happier, but also based on the entire journey throughout the album, I think he remembers the good times fondly, but accepts the bad times also for what they were. And, at the end, he's talking about, I must be someone new. Like, I have to be a person of I have to take charge of my own destiny, don't let others dictate my reality, that kind of thing. And when it gets to the outro, the whites of your eyes turn black in the lowlights, like that whole thing. So that actually was the outro to the very first song on their first album. So I think that was just a wonderful way to close it off.
Yeah, and I think it also starts if that first song on that first album, I think, is also a hair over 5 minutes, and like one of the lines at the beginning of the song is just like, take me back, give me 5 whole minutes. I mean, it's a little over 5, but you can't say, give me 5 minutes and 15 seconds,
yeah,
or whatever it was.
Yeah, and after that lyric where he's just laying out, and he's like, I'm thick tar on the inside, burning, got a ghost in the hallway that's grinning at me, and like, just everything sucks. So, and this is, yeah. Sorry, go on, Drew.
No, I was gonna say like the message of the album: everything sucks, things are bad, eat people.
Yeah. No. It's important to get eaten. That's the important part.
Get eaten. Excuse me.
You trying to get ate, bro?
Yes. Life sucks. Everything's bad. Get ate, and then get peed on.
No.
Yeah. Specifically in that order, I think it's important to maintain that.
In that order.
That's all I got.
No, I think that's a good thing, and I think there's a lot of like. I feel like the reason that I think it didn't stand out to me as much is probably because, unlike you guys have listened to their whole like discography, and like it sounds like just from like reading this and looking at like listening to you guys and reading like the website about it, it's like a lot of this stuff is like callbacks or references to previous songs, not only in this album but like other things as well. So it does kind of feel like this is like the ending for ever. It's like the
yeah, the
like
culmination of the
the culmination of everything to like close it out. So I'm like, okay, that makes sense. That's why this is the end.
And I mean, if I were talking to someone who had like put on episode 6 of Star Wars and they're like, yeah, this is my first Star Wars movie I've watched, I thought it was pretty good, I'd be like, well, yeah, that's if that's your takeaway from it, that's good. I'm glad you enjoyed the movie.
Yeah,
there was some stuff that happened a little earlier that might be important, but you got the whole gist.
You get the idea, but like you might want to like backtrack a little bit to get more.
Yeah,
of,
you're like, okay, so this
story.
Darth Vader fellow looks like he's Luke Skywalker's father, and I'm like, yeah, there's a whole thing about it, but whatever. Just that is all you need to know.
I mean, like, you're inaccurate. Like, you're not inaccurate, and you still get the story, but you'll get more of the story, like listening to everything else. So yeah, that makes sense. I'm kind of. When you're coming into like the very end of a story, it's not going to hit you as hard as like if you've been there from the very beginning.
Yeah, bro, I've been a Sleep Token fan since 2017. When they were underground.
Yeah. But Randy, as you have technically been the longest Sleep Token fan out of all of us.
Barely. I would say there's still a lot of this that I probably don't appreciate as much as people who have been following them for a lot longer.
Look, to be fair, there's not a lot of those people around, okay?
That's fair. They were
just
like
got big.
Again, I'm posting your address, and we'll see how many of those people are around.
I'm not saying those earlier fans aren't dedicated, because they will show up. But
I think it's a callback to the beginning, and talking about The Night Belongs to You, which their first song is called, or the first song on the Sundowning album is The Night Does Not Belong to God. So I think this song is very like
referential.
Referential in particular to sleep. Not the act of sleeping, the god sleep.
This is one of those more metaphorical ones.
Yes.
Yeah. But just like I've been worshiping you for so long, and maybe I lost a little bit of my way, but we're gonna try and maybe get back to that. So
and
then also talking about that growth of becoming a new person.
Yeah, this is the song that now that like I kind of look more into it, and now that I know the history of this band and kind of what they're about, this is the one directly for, like, this is for the fans and for their cult god. Like, this is
yes,
this is that song. Like, there are other ones where like, okay, you can take the message of like kind of some dark elements, or like it's a relationship, or like, no, this one's about Sleep, the demigod, or not demigod, but like Sleep, like the evil god that like is gonna do whatever they think it's gonna do.
And it's been interesting, like, kind of starting to participate in the Sleep Token, like, the avid fan communities, because, like, I'll see some stuff that they post, and I'm like, I don't understand. I'm like, hey, y'all, let's get some background on this. But one of them was, like, one of those Bernie Sanders memes, and it was like, I am once again asking Sleep Token to play Euclid. And then, like, one of the most upvoted comments was like, I'm not ready to cry in a crowd full of people.
I'm not emotionally stable for that.
Yeah.
But no, I think it's a decent song, pretty good. But it is the last song on the album. So before we kind of close out here, and I will allow y'all to give your final thoughts on the album as a whole. I will, before you give your final thoughts, I'll also say, because Will's the one that did this, and just so the people at home and I can keep track of which ones were which. Say your like top two songs, and then kind of like give a little bit of like description on like what you thought of the album as a whole. So for me, as I mentioned earlier, my top two were Granite and Take Me by Eden. And I like both these songs for the same reason of like, I think they do the best at the style switching and moving from like genre to genre. Not to say that the other songs don't do it well. I just think that those two in particular do it the best out of them. Take Me Back to Eden has some of the best like lyrics and also like seems to have the most effort put into it. And Granite's just a bop. The piano and drums in the background are just chef's kiss, icing on the cake. It's just amazing. And why that one sticks out to me. So Will, what about you? What are your kind of final thoughts and what are your top two songs from the album?
So, I'll start with my two favorite songs on the album. I think my second favorite song is Granite, and then I think my favorite song is Euclid. That last one there, I like Granite so much just because it paints such like a vivid picture of like, not being wanted and just the way that it like does paint the picture. Like you're gonna fight in a car. I'm like, yeah, I vibe with that, and it does do that genre matching, which is so cool. And I like Euclid because I think it's like a nice cathartic end and close to the album, to the trilogy of albums. But for this album in particular, I just really liked it. I vibed with it a lot. Got a lot of themes of renewal, redemption, self-improvement. I think it's a nice, wholesome end to an absolute shit show that they painted. As far as like how much I like the album, I think that, well, I guess I loved the album so much that it inspired me to scour the internet and Spotify for their discography and participate in a community, which I have never done for a band before. So I'm going to say that this album was a pretty big bop. I really like the way that they blend genres. It has introduced me to a whole new, spectrum of music that I hadn't really considered before. And I really like how kind of poetic it is, like how it goes back between like use of some seriously like heavy metaphors that the purpose is a little bit shrouded and requires some digging, and then it also goes into very literal music, like this is what is happening, this is how I'm feeling. I think that it definitely digs into what it is to be the main character in your life and how it is. Like how to navigate dynamics in relationships that like aren't working, and I think that it can be educational as far as like if someone has not experienced these things, like this is what you might encounter. But yeah, I'm a huge fan of the album and of Sleep Token.
Oh, yeah, Sleep Token, fun and educational. In case you didn't know what the word "bore" meant.
Yeah,
Randy, your turn.
Hi.
What are your two favorite songs and your thoughts?
I think my two favorites are The Apparition and it's hard to choose. It's kind of like it's between Granite and I think Rain for me. I mean, I won't continue on about
Did you mean to say The Apparition or did you mean to say Ascensionism?
No, The Apparition.
Oh,
yeah.
So you've abandoned Ascensionism.
I mean, Ascensionism's up there too.
No, it's okay. You hate that song.
Yeah.
I don't hate the song.
You wish that song would burn.
Ascensionism's great.
And drown in the rain.
Projects.
Yeah, in the rain, quote unquote rain. I was like, should I keep making jokes about this?
But anyway, the album as a whole, I thought was really good, and I think it's been able to allow people that maybe aren't into metal to maybe dip their toes into it because of the different genre fusing. Because I think that's helped a little with Will. Because, I mean, we've made it to the point to where, I mean, we're planning on it, of going to Louder Than Life, which is a massive rock/metal show.
Yeah.
Or festival, really. And probably if Sleep Token wasn't playing there, I don't know if Will would have brought it up. I mean, there's still some like good classics that are going to be there, like Green Day. I mean, who doesn't love Green Day, and stuff. But I think it allows people that may not be super into metal to dip their
Nimrods,
toes
that's who
into
doesn't
it.
like Green Day. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry. It was,
And I think in regards to the genre, what it might do is it might allow people that maybe feel, or artists that might be like, well, this is my genre and this is what I do, to maybe start to add maybe lighter elements to it, and vice versa. So maybe for other genres that want to add some heavier parts to it, instead of just having like a screaming section, maybe add like a lot chunkier guitar with like, one of those 6-string guitars and whatnot,
yeah.
or 8-string or whatever.
Throw some bongos in there.
That's not what I meant by heavy, but anyway, that's kind of what I'm thinking the impact will be, hopefully, on the landscape.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of hard to just describe them as metal.
Yeah.
I think it kind of gets to the point to where it's just like, it's Sleep Token and it's good. It's just good music.
It is.
Well, that's,
It is.
ultimately, like, that's like,
I think it still
That's-
leans more towards rock and alternative
Yeah.
and metal influences for sure. That's more
Well,
of
that
its
become-
audience,
yeah.
but it's a bit wider than that.
so yeah, what you're getting at there is like, and that's almost an issue with like, just like the music genre as a whole is like, genres contradict themselves almost all the time, and the whole point of music is to contradict the idea of of genres, because you're supposed to be unique and creative and everything, yet in music we have categories to like fit things in nicely. And not just Sleep Token, other bands like that, is they kind of they do a good job of like separating themselves out and like making it making themselves like unique and diverse in that way. And I think that's kind of what all musicians should do, is like, you shouldn't be tied down by a specific genre or whatever. So that's kind of a long-winded thing, but I guess ultimately I'm saying, like, I agree with that statement you just said, Randy. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with that said, we are going to move on. And again, if you've listened this far, then you're probably interested in the album. It's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, everywhere else you can get. I'm sorry, I said Apple Podcast and say Apple Music. I'm doing the podcast intro. And everywhere else you can get music from. Go check them out, go support them, and if you're out louder than live, say hi, because both of us will probably be there. And, well, say both of us, all three of us. But with that, now at the end, we are talking about our fresh picks of the week. This is where we talk about what we've been playing, watching, or listening to in the weeks where we are not doing a podcast. So I will change it up, and I will go first this time, because I kind of have two of them, but it's kind of the two most obvious ones if anyone's been paying attention to social media nowadays, and that's Boppenheimer, also known as Barbie and Oppenheimer. And I just like, first off, I want to say both of these movies are great. But I really want to talk about the marketing behind these two movies has been phenomenal. They've really leaned into the fact that like they're fighting each other, but well, not like fighting each other, but like,
Well, I don't think it's even
they're not
competing on the market.
no, they're not. They're not
kinda
even. I'm sorry.
happened.
No, they're not. It's just one of those like happy accidents where like, but the fact that they've just kind of stuck to their guns and like cast and crew have been like, yeah, no, I'm gonna go see like Barbie or I'm gonna go see Oppenheimer. Like, but like they're saying they're gonna watch the opposite person's movie. Has been really fun and like all this stuff, and it's been great. And what this really is, when you look at it, and some people know this, but I pointed out to a lot of people, all this is just when Doom Eternal and Animal Crossing came out on the same day as well. It's just the same thing,
True.
but with movies now. But I love it. And, and I think the best part about this is both of them are good films. Like it's not like yes, they're different, but they're actually good, solid movies. Like, it's not like if like a Minions movie came out the same day as like, not to crap on the Minions movie, but if it came out the same day as like Oppenheimer, it wouldn't really have the vibe. But like, no, like Barbie's like actually intelligent writing, and it's really funny and it's really good. Like, even if like you think like you're some like manly macho man, whatever, go see Barbie. It's fun, it's enjoyable. Ryan Gosling's amazing. And I don't need to sell people on Oppenheimer. It's also amazing. So yeah, Boppenheimer. Go watch them in theaters. That's the other thing. Don't wait for them to come out on digital. This is talking to you and Will, by the way. Go to the movie theaters and watch these. Oh, I forgot you've actually seen it.
Drew, I want your thoughts on this. I did fall asleep a little bit during Oppenheimer. What are your thoughts on that statement?
Seems like you don't. Seems like you don't care about like the thousands of lives that were lost during that tragic and very complex day in both USA and Japanese history.
The thing is, it wasn't really even about the lives.
Yeah.
Well, it kind of was the.
It was, but wasn't.
Yeah, I say that a little jokingly. I did fall asleep
Yeah.
a little bit because I had gotten like 2 hours of sleep the night before, and I was on like a 12-hour excursion with my family in a nice, dark, warm theater during a quiet scene.
Well, I think it's fine. I think there's nothing wrong with it. You will have to go watch it again.
Fair enough, because honestly, I left that theater and I was like, what did I watch?
Yeah, you will have to go watch the movie again. In theaters as well. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm assuming y'all watched it in
I'm going to see if I
IMAX?
can't get it to it in IMAX.
Yeah. Y'all didn't see it in IMAX? I don't...
No,
we couldn't get
they
it
were sold
scheduled.
out.
Fair. No, fair. Those things do sell. That did sell out a lot. But yeah, go watch both of them. Randy, what's your fresh pick of the week?
It's not new, considering they're like already is marketing and they're talking about the second one. But I've been playing a bunch of City Skylines recently, which is basically a city builder game, and it's like managing your city, making sure like your residents like have all the proper care and things like that, whether it be city infrastructure and stuff like that. And so as an engineer, I'm just like, I don't know, something about it just like everything's like perfect and it's going by design. Like, it's just satisfying and I enjoy.
There should be a bureaucracy mod for that, where it's like, oh, sorry, no, you have to get approved for this intersection. And you're like, what the this is absolutely, like, this is irrelevant. Why would I... And no, sorry, you got to fill out a form for that. That's going to have to go to our manager, or he'll be back in contact. No, yeah, let me take your contact information, and he will definitely get back with you in the next couple days.
You will never hear from this person again in your life.
Yeah.
Not getting that sticky note, man. I tell you what.
But yeah, I've been enjoying that game, and they're revving up for the City Skylines 2, which I think comes out in October this year, I think. But yeah, it comes out soon. So yeah, if you want to you kind of have that satisfaction of having stuff get managed correctly, and you're just like, everything is just nice. From like getting everything set up, check that game out. It's probably the base game is probably pretty cheap still, especially because the second one's on its way out. So yeah, and there's still a boatload of content in it. So
all right, well, City Skylines, fun game. Will, your turn.
My fresh pick, it's going to be, this one also has been out for a little while, but I'm here to talk about Horizon Zero Dawn. It's a pretty cool game that originally came out for PS4, and I think it was just PS4. PS5 wasn't out at that point. However, it did get a PC re-release in 2020 that I actually just ended up picking up on the Steam summer sale. I had played the original game on PS4, super good, but after I played it again, I had a renewed appreciation for it. I really got into all the mechanics that they had available as far as weapons, weapon progression, resource gathering, and management. And it's just some fun monster hunting. Just taking down a big old machine is pretty sick. Got a lot of cool world building in it. A lot of mystery. You start out as a mystery. You're like, yeah, apparently I'm an outcast and don't know where I'm from. But things pick up really quick. So if you guys have not played Horizon Zero Dawn, I would strongly encourage it. There is a sequel that I know nothing about, and I'm going to avoid any kind of media on it until I can get my hands on a PlayStation 5. hopefully
say-
the Spider-Man one, but we'll
Yeah.
see what's going on.
I would say that was gonna be
Yeah.
my first question. Have you played Horizon First Dawn as opposed to Zero Dawn?
So, I'm sorry,
the
what was that?
sequel. The Horizon First
Oh,
Dawn.
Horizon Forbidden West.
Horizon One Dawn.
Oh,
And then
boo.
the prequel series before it, Horizon -1.
Boo.
Oh
And
my
with-
god. Okay, all right. I'm understanding the trend, and I gotta say I don't appreciate it.
Wow, that took you. I'm not gonna lie. Well, that took you a little too long to figure out that trend.
Yeah, okay, so you're cutting in and out. I don't know if it's a Discord problem, but I was like, I was getting like electronic interruptions in between. You're saying like
Okay,
-1,
it's
and I was like,
-1.
what?
Well, if I'm cutting out, that means that my computer's telling me it is time for us to wrap up. So I will thank Randy for joining me today.
It's been a pleasure. I'm glad we got to talk about Sleep Token.
Yeah, and I will also thank Will for coming on and talking about music.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been an interesting conversation.
Yeah, it's been fun. And everyone, the biggest thank you goes out to all the people that stay out here and listen to us. So appreciate y'all. Have a nice day and stay safe out there.